Welcome the President and the Secretary General to the Troll A platform. Welcome you to Norway. This is a central part of Norway, and it illustrates the energy partnership and security partnership between Norway and Europe in these very demanding times. During this year we've had intense cooperation and contact between the European Commission and Norway. This is the first visit by a Commission President since 2011 to Norway, and we appreciate to see her here. Norway has been able to increase gas supplies to Europe during this year, and it's our ambition to be able to hold that high level for the next 4 to 5 years. So we are between 30 and 40% of Europe's deliveries. This platform in itself provides 10% of Europe's gas consumption, just to highlight the dimensions. This is also, of course, about security, and I would salute the Commission Presidents for having so strongly contributed to European unity in face of the Russian attack war on Ukraine, and the Secretary General also for keeping NATO allies so solidly together. And one Norwegian contribution to this unity for democracy and freedom is that we maintain our level as a secure energy provider. And let me also add that this energy effort is also about speeding up the energy transition. So we have been working very closely with the Commission to venture into offshore wind, hydrogen, the new energy sources. And in a few years from this platform, you may be observing offshore windmills producing renewable energy for our economy and for the European economy. I would also like to highlight that the German Chancellor and I took an initiative to ask NATO to be coordinating security initiatives for our energy installations. Norway has about 90 offshore installations, 8,000 kilometers of pipelines, and it is a very good sign that NATO can take a responsibility in coordinating our efforts to secure that security with industry and with governments. So both of you close friends, you are heartily welcome to Troll. This is a part of Norway. Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jonas, thank you very much for the invitation. It's the very first time in my life that I am on a gas rig, so it's amazing. It's really exciting. And indeed, Norway has been an incredibly precious partner and friend to the European Union, mainly in the last 12 months, while we saw this atrocious war that Russia unleashed against Ukraine. Putin tried to blackmail the European Union by cutting us off Russian gas supply, 80%. An equivalent of 100 billion cubic meter of gas that Putin has stopped going to the European Union. And in that time, we needed friends and like-minded partners to step up, and that's what Norway did. Norway increased its production and helped us in a critical time. It increased the production from 78 billion cubic meter to 90 billion cubic meter, and this really helped us through the winter. We're grateful for that, and we're very happy to hear that in the years to come we will maintain this high level of support. But of course our friendship and partnership is much, much broader than only natural gas. Indeed, we are working on a green alliance. The green alliance, that's basically the Champions League. We, the European Union, have only one green alliance so far with Japan, and now Norway will be the first country in Europe to have a green alliance with the European Union. We're working on decarbonization. We're working indeed on hydrogen, green hydrogen. We're interested in carbon capture and storage. Of course, here in Norway, you are champions what offshore wind and wind onshore also is concerned. You have the wind and you have the technology. So everything is open to create this green alliance. I'm very much looking forward to do that. My third point is on security. Indeed, the last month taught us how important it is to protect our critical infrastructure. And here, Jens, I'm very grateful that together with NATO, the European Union created a task force. We had the very first meeting of this task force for the protection of the critical infrastructure yesterday. What is the principle? The European Union and NATO both have a very clear view on the threat theater and an assessment on the situation, but we come from different angles. And therefore, if we join forces, we have a broader view, and of course we are also able to find more solutions to protect our critical infrastructure. So, in sum, it's great to be here among friends, and thank you for the excellent cooperation. Jens, it's over to you.
Thank you. First of all, CEO Anders Opeda, it's a great pleasure to be at this platform again, and I'm glad to be here together with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr and together with President Ursula von der Leyen. These structures are really impressive, and we all know that they help to heat homes and power industry across Europe. So therefore, gas installations like the Troll platform is vital for our economies, for our industries, but also therefore for our security. Because we have seen how President Putin has tried to use energy as a weapon throughout the war against Ukraine. And Norwegian gas has helped to respond to that and ensure that President Putin failed in his attempt to use energy as a weapon. Since these structures are so vital, they're also vulnerable. And NATO has addressed the security of offshore installations of undersea infrastructure for many years. But now we have stepped up, not least because of the initiative taken by Prime Minister Støre and Chancellor Scholz some months ago to give NATO a stronger role in the efforts of making sure that this vital infrastructure is safe and secure. So I thank Jonas Gahr for the initiative. This has really led to some concrete action within the alliance. Then we also stepped our cooperation with the European Union, and as President Ursula von der Leyen just mentioned, NATO and the European Union we have established a joint task force. They met for the first time yesterday, and we are now stepping up the concrete cooperation with the European Union to complement and to work closer together to ensure critical undersea infrastructure and offshore installations like this platform. NATO has also increased its presence with more military capabilities in the North Sea, in the Baltic Sea, and also elsewhere. And as we speak, there is a Norwegian Coast Guard over there. There is a Norwegian helicopter in the air, and there is a German ship back behind. And you just saw a maritime patrol aircraft, and this is part of NATO's standing maritime group with ships and planes from many different NATO nations, demonstrating how NATO allies stand together in protecting this vital infrastructure. So in a more dangerous world, in a more unpredictable world, it's even more important that we stand together and ensure these kinds of extremely important infrastructure for our economies, for our daily life, and also for our security. So thank you so much again, Ursula, Jonas, and Anders. Yeah, we move. Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much, Madam President, Secretary General, and Prime Minister. Thank you very much for visiting the Troll A platform. It's a pleasure for us to welcome you here. This really underlines the importance of the energy cooperation between Norway and also EU and Europe. The Troll field that we are today, as the Prime Minister said, can produce 10% of Europe's consumption every day. And we plan to produce gas from this installation beyond 2050. But as the Prime Minister said, in addition to securing gas to Europe, this area will possibly also produce electrons from offshore wind. And just a few kilometers from here, next year, we will start storing CO2 that we will actually pick up from ships in Europe and bring close to the troll field and then pump it down safely in the ground. So this area will be an important area, in the cooperation between Europe and Norway also for many, many decades. Equinor, we are dedicated to a balanced energy transition, and we will continue developing the energy Norway and Europe will need for decades. So thank you again for visiting us. It's really a pleasure to having all of you here with us here today. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we will have two questions. The first question is from CNN.
Hi, we're here. We have a question to both Secretary General and the Commission President. You spoke about how important this critical infrastructure is. Where do you see the main vulnerabilities? How big do you see the threat specifically from Russia to this critical infrastructure? And then second of all, how much more important has this become, especially to the European Union, now that most European Union member states are off Russian gas and turning more towards gas from Norway?
Well, maybe I can first of all, this infrastructure is extremely important. It's vital, but that makes it also vulnerable, not least because of the sheer size. We speak about thousands of kilometers of pipelines, gas and oil, but also other kinds of internet cable, power cables. So in totality, this is an enormous amount of infrastructure, meaning that, of course, we cannot protect every meter of this infrastructure at every time. But what we do is that we have stepped up what we do when it comes to exchanging intelligence information, more closely monitoring the infrastructure. Then we have increased our presence with more military capabilities. And then the plan is also now to exercise more to be able to react fast if something happens. One thing which is illustrated by the task force we have established and the enhanced vigilance NATO allies are now showing when it comes to protecting critical undersea infrastructure is that we work more closely with the private sector, companies like Equinor. And Equinor and the CEO actually came to the NATO headquarters, briefed the North Atlantic Council, because we know that the private companies, they have key capabilities which are essential for the protection of this infrastructure. When it comes to importance for the European Union, I leave that to Ursula.
Yes, thank you. Indeed, critical infrastructure is of critical importance to all of us, and we have decided to start together with the EU-NATO joint task force to protect the critical infrastructure, to look at our vulnerabilities. For example, at vulnerabilities in the energy sector or the transport sector, but also digital and space is important. It is, first of all, about having a mutual awareness about what the threats are, a common analysis about the strengths and the weaknesses, and then to develop together a different solution for better protection. And as I said, as we have different angles with which we look at different theaters, joining forces, of course, widens our possibilities to protect our critical infrastructure. And this infrastructure here, speaking of Norway and the importance for the European Union, it is of high importance. So we have seen how critical and crucial it was for the European Union to make it through the winter, that Norway stepped up its production. And this was, of course, through this infrastructure that is in place. So we were in a clear crisis, and we were able to react rapidly and actively to this crisis thanks to this critical infrastructure.
And then the last question is NRK.
My question is regarding the prices of gas and oil, especially gas, which has led to a lot of discomfort around Europe. What do you see Norway's role in lowering these prices, keeping them acceptably low? Have you had any talks with the Prime Minister about this question?
So first of all, why have the prices skyrocketed? This was not a normal market anymore. This was a manipulated market. And lots of speculation in. Because when the prices last summer exploded, this was because President Putin took off 100 billion cubic meters of gas of the global market. And of course, this tightened enormously the market. This was a strategic decision of President Putin, and this was not a normal market reaction. The moment we acted in unity, the European Union with friends and allies, to diversify away from Russia, to compensate, prices went down. This is point number one. So point number two, we are just tabling as European Union an electricity market reform, and we have created a joint energy platform to make it possible for our suppliers to have the aggregated demand of the European Union. For example, for Norway to join this platform as a supplier. And the aim is not only to have the spot market, but to look at long-term contracts that are beneficial for both sides. And with that, we have the consumer at the core of our action, and this is what brings us together.
Yeah. Let me say that Norway is served by stable prices. We don't set prices for gas, and these volatile high prices is not in Norway's interest. Directly for Norway, because gas prices drive electricity prices, which are very high for Norwegian consumers, and that's a burden on them and on industry. Secondly, it's not good for our partners in Europe. They are our allies and our trading partners. So one contribution has been to increase our export, has contributed to bringing prices down. And I take note of the fact that the companies operating on the shelf are in close contact with the European partners on more long-term agreements, following very closely what happens on the purchasing side. And we've had political contact on this also between the Commission and the Norwegian government to see what we can do to contribute to more stability. Prices have come down, but as the President said, it is basically because there is now more energy coming in. And that's what we have to see to, that we now can also push in more renewable energy to help stabilize the markets.